So let's look at sources. Now you know that you need all this information. However, where do you actually go to get this information? And it is very important when you're actually putting a report together for your investors and you are trying to put a no money down deal together. You would want to make sure that you look absolutely professional. So where do you actually go and find this data from? I've got a few resources here, and some of them are generic and some of them are specific to the state. So I'll just show you all of them. I won't go and visit on each one of them. Don't worry about copying these or whatever, because I've got a module towards the end which talks about the property development system, web resources, and that has everything in it. So don't worry about copying this data, because I'll provide that to you in a file that you can import in your browser and quickly go and visit them. But I will want to go through a couple of websites that I use most of the time when I'm putting a report together, and that gives me data for all of this. So let's look at some of the websites. The number one website that I actually go to, used to go to, but don't go there anymore, is the ABS data. And the reason is the data that they've got is actually 2011, from 2011 census. And I think the next one's due in 2016, which is next year. So until that time, because the data is a little bit old, I try to avoid that, because I've got another resource that I use, and that's a fantastic resource. I'll just share that with you in a second. So what it is you enter the postcode here, say 3199, and you come up with something like this, and that talks about the age, whatever, the marital status, the median age, social marital status, education, people. You can even click on them and you can look at some charts, country birth, religious, employment, the kind of people who work full-time, number of people who work full-time, part-time, and occupation. Most of them are professionals. That's what it looks like. There are technicians and trade workers, and there's sales workers, and so on. So it also talks about median weekly income. So it tells you how much, what's the median weekly income in that area. And you can click on the fact sheet and find out more about it. So that's what this is. If you look at family, it gives you the family composition, weekly incomes for the family, and you can find out details about dwellings. You can always print this out or convert it into a PDF and put it in your report. But I look at it if I want some statistics really quickly. I do look at it, but I very seldom use it in my report anymore, because I've got something that's really good. So let's look at the other resource. This is another resource. For example, I was doing some research on Frankston, because Frankston now in Victoria, Frankston's now, as per my research, Frankston's now primed for growth, and one of the reasons is the Victorian government's actually pouring in about 60 mil on the train station upgrade, and there's a lot of stuff happening there. So this website talks about community indicators Victoria, and you can look at different suburbs, click on it and see, this is more like a well-being kind of perception of safety. People see, Frankston always had this view of that, it had a stigma of a lot of drug abuse in the area. But if you look at perception of safety, it's 96.3% there. And if you compare that with Southern Metro or Victoria, it's pretty close. So these are the kind of things that you want to find out. So that's another website that you can have a look at. It's called communityindicators.net.au, and you can find out details about your council. This is the site. It's called economy.id.com.au. It's a free site. but these people specialize in in research for demographics. And I actually have spoken to them, and these people will, if you hire these people, they will tell you exactly in 5 years time, in 10 years time, and where their research shows the more population is going to increase in what street and what suburb. And I mean, they've actually got it down packed to the street. And a lot of big developers like Mervac or Stockland, these are the people who hire them, and and to hire them it costs about $2,500 a day. Now, there is a ton of information on this website that you can use, and you can use for your report, and really make a really good, educated, informed decision about what you're going to do. Mostly if you're doing two townhouses or four townhouses, or it's not gonna make a huge difference. However, if you are doing something like 30 apartments or 50 apartments, you would want to have a look at this. And the reason I looked at it was because there's something I'm working on, and that's close to 130 apartments. So you want to have this kind of data on you to be able to do it. And I'll quickly run you through this. They've got 4 tabs here: economy, forecast, atlas, and profile. The economic indicator is really good. It tells you about the unemployment, employed residents, local jobs, gross product, building approvals, anything that's actually disabled for that you can't select. That means you got to pay for it. So that's the portion that that you got to pay for. And you can find out journey to work, how many people have to travel to work. You've got workforce profiles, employment, key status. But if you want any other details, you've got to pay for that data. I've actually never paid them, but I've actually used and derived a lot of information from this website. The other page that they've got is community profile. Really good, very simple to very similar to the basic community profile that you've got here. Now, don't get me wrong. I read a lot about. I've spent a lot of time on this website, and these people actually drive a lot of their data from ABS. But ABS is just raw data, and if you download something like this, which I used to, it's going to take you a couple of hours to actually decipher that information and make any sense out of it. But these people actually take it out and put forth that data in terms that I can make sense of, and it's easier. Now you can look at things like how old we are, population, 5-year age group, single year of age, or who we are, or what do we do. So in that, if I wanted to find out in Frankston what are the industries, what's the occupation, what's the childcare, domestic work, whatever that is, I can actually find all of that out. And the best part about this is, apart from economy.id, profile and forecast, both of them actually have this section called reports, and you can select what you want in your report from this website, put in your email address, and send yourself that report. So have a play around with this, have a look at your council, and you'll be surprised with a lot of stuff that you'll find out from this website. It talks about building approvals. That tells you that tells you about economic activity happening in that area. Building approvals are a very strong indicator of how the market is going. So you can look at it. You'll have to spend some time on it, and I'm not going to go through what each stat means and what it does. I'll leave that to you. But this is a very, very good website. I have spent hours first trying to understand what the site actually does and what it gives me, and then I've actually extracted a lot of data on this for a report that I put together on Frankston. So That's the social atlas. Have a play around with it, see what it is. It can put all this data actually on a map for you. So if you look at diversity, born overseas, what do you want to find out? So you click on it and it'll put everything on a map for you. So that's really good. So you click on the maps and it'll show you that data on the map, and you can click on it, and on the side you can see what's happening. It pinpoints the data. So if your site was here that you were developing, I would want to zoom in, find out how many people live there, what's happening in that area, and all sorts of stuff. This is again the same website with forecast.id. I love this tab because it actually makes my job easier. If you look at migration patterns, and the stuff that I was just talking about in the previous video was historical migration. Where are people actually moving in from? So if you look at this map here, it tells you that okay, in Frankston you've got people downsizing from Glen Ira Council or Monash Council or Bayside, and then moving into Frankston. Why? Because they're retiring and they've got properties in these local government areas, and the land in that area is far more expensive than in Frankston. Frankston offers a really good lifestyle because it's right next to the beach. It overlooks the bay, and a lot of people downsize and move here. It also tells you why are people who've moved out of Frankston, where have they gone to? So they're going to the council, to the KC council, or they moved out to Mornington Peninsula. And it also tells you the sort of gives you ballpark numbers for what sort of movement is taking place. Again, there is a report section for this forecast as well, and you can select the tabs you want, put in your email address, and send yourself the report. We are back to the same thing, which is again tells you about all the economic indicators in a particular council. Sorry, it actually works via council, not by suburb. So if you just find out what is your council for the suburb that you're actually looking at, and then go from there.